This month, I read 8 books that took me from steamy workplace flings to haunted spaceships and even murder in the snow. And I definitely have opinions. Some of these books blew me away, while others not so much. Let's talk about it. I'm Jaylene. Welcome back to my channel where we turn every page into a journey. And today I will be sharing with you the 8 books that I read for the month of May. I absolutely read a lot of bangers this month. Check out the Yes No Maybe Rapid Fire TikTok that I made. Make sure to check the description for my TikTok. Now, with all of these books, I definitely had a wide genre palette this month. I read a lot of thrillers, I read romances, and even a murder mystery. So let's get started. For book number 1, I read Only for the Week by Natasha Bishop. This is a contemporary romance with quite a bit of spice that I was not expecting at all. In this book, you follow the story of Dr. Janelle Cross. She is the sister of the bride and the ex-girlfriend of the groom in a destination wedding taking place in Tulum. Now, between her duties as being the maid of honor for her bridezilla sister and her family's desperate grasp at her non-existent feelings for her ex-boyfriend, Janelle cannot catch a break at all. So when the best man Rome proposes that Janelle and he give into their undeniable chemistry, Janelle only has one condition, that this love affair can only last 1 week. Now, because Rome is the groom's best friend and Janelle's ex-boyfriend, he definitely doesn't want to cross any boundaries and is obviously bro code, but he cannot help the undeniable chemistry and the feelings and the love that he has for Janelle. Now, the debacle that Janelle and Rome have to figure out is whether they want to live in the moment for this 1 week or are they willing to take this risk forever. Now, this is the first book in the Forever Falling series, and I cannot wait for the other ones to come out. But when I said that the spice in this book jumped out very quickly, I want to say within the first 3 chapters, they were already getting hot and heavy in this book, and I loved absolutely every second of it. The character development in this story was really good, but one thing that did bother me, and I've said this in a TikTok before, not my TikTok, I commented on someone else's video, but a trope that I cannot stand is when there is a bitter sibling that cannot grasp the fact that their brother or sister is happily in love or that they have another love interest of their own, and that sibling cannot fathom that they too can be happy. Just because they're bitter, they want their sibling to be bitter as well. And that's a trope that I have come to find out that I do not like. And that is how Janelle's sister is in this book. When I say her being a bridezilla is an understatement, it's quite literally an understatement. Her sister is very much a pick me person and she doesn't want anyone to be happy because she is miserable herself. As far as the love interest, Janelle and Rome, their chemistry and their love was hot and heavy. I mentioned this in my vlog when I read this book, but the fact that Rome rented out an entire yacht for Janelle just to read a book, I was lusting over that man, this fictional man. I wish in my wildest dreams could be my book boyfriend because I would love to have a yacht rented out for me just to read a book. Like, who does that? Rome does. I also feel like many other authors need to add playlists into their books because this playlist was hidden for this book. I'm going to show you right now. Hold on. Hopefully it's in focus. But this playlist is on Spotify. If you scan the QR code, magnificent. I love all these songs on this playlist and it was just a vibe, honestly. If you are looking for a quick, steamy, hot and heavy, lustful book, make sure to pick this one up right now. I definitely took mood reading to the extreme this month because right after that contemporary romance, I switched right over to a sci-fi horror book called Dead Silence. This story is all about surviving a haunted spaceship, and when the salvage crew goes out on a mission, they accidentally stumble upon a spaceship that has been lost for years. And when they enter upon this haunted spaceship, they obviously find a lot of uncovered secrets, and they were honestly a little frightening, I can't even lie. The moment that I started listening to this audiobook, I got about 10% into it, and I automatically started to have this eerie feeling inside of me just because of the atmosphere that the author created in this book. It was very eerie and unsettling, and it didn't sit right in my stomach, but I couldn't stop listening to it because I was very engaged and enthralled in the book. I could not stop listening. Immediately, right off the bat, when some creepy shit started to happen, I had goosebumps on my arms, and the hairs on my arms started to stand up. One thing that I will say, this is not really a spoiler, but the people that were left on this abandoned spaceship, they were basically frozen in time. So everything that happened at the very last moment of their lives, they were stuck in that position, and their bodies, they didn't decay because they are obviously in space and it's very cold out there. So everything is preserved, and they're just stuck in these crazy positions. Some of them were, bleeding, guts hanging out and everything. So it's a little bit gory, which I don't mind. I'm not um, squirmish about things of that nature, but if you are, I would be weary of reading this book. But the atmosphere is very claustrophobic. And although it is claustrophobic, it is cinematic because I could envision the rooms that the salvage crew was going into on the abandoned spaceship. And I could also imagine how haunting the spaceship could feel. It is a dual timeline book, so you jump from the past when the salvage crew was on the abandoned spaceship and what they were doing and trying to achieve on the spaceship in order to bring it back to Earth. And then you jump to the present time of the one survivor that was able to come back to Earth and tell people about what she saw and witnessed on this abandoned spaceship. My son woke up.
A few moments later.
Moving right along to a psychological thriller called Love Mom by Ileana Zander. This poor girl in this book, I felt so bad for her. This is an amazing book that is eerily dark, but I couldn't put it down as well. You follow along the story of the FMC, whose mother sadly passed away from a slip and fall accident while on a hike. Her mom is a well-renowned best-selling author that wrote psychological thriller books. Now, after her mother's wedding, she stumbled upon her father having a weird encounter with a strange man she has never seen before, and she really thought nothing of it until one day she started to receive these mysterious letters from her deceased mom. Now, within these letters, her mom starts to tell a story of when she was a young girl in foster care and a really bad event that happened to her mom back then. Now, these letters that she's receiving correlates with the books that her mom has written. Now, the main character has to decode and decipher what these letters mean to her and if the stories within these letters are actually true and correlate to her books. The dark and twisted mother-daughter relationship definitely went wrong in this book, and I felt bad for the female main character because she had no say in what happened to her before she was born and while she was growing up as a little girl into a young adult that she was in this book. All I can say is don't trust everything that you see and don't trust everything that everyone tells you, because sometimes it is not the truth and they are lying to you in your face. I really read some crazy ass books this month because I read Cutthroat by Octavia Grant. As you all know, I always say this, but she's my absolute favorite psychological thriller author of all time. Now, this one was an urban fiction slash drama, and it was quite literally a crazy psychological chess match that you had no idea what was coming around the corner or what would happen next, because the brain of Octavia Grant, I don't know what space or mindset she gets into when she starts to write her books, but I would be nervous. I would be nervous if I were her characters because she would kill off anyone that she wants and she will make the twist a twist. Now, Eden Shelton is a woman that loves love and she loves to be the wife to an amazing man that could do no harm and no wrong until one day her rose-colored glasses falls off and she sees the man for who he is. Her amazing husband definitely has secrets of his own that did not want to be uncovered, but once her rose-colored glasses fell off, she had no choice but to see the truth. This is the ultimate revenge of a woman in a story that I've ever read. She definitely got her lick back and some, and she honestly, at the end of the book, it was like a mic drop because she dropped the biggest bomb on her husband and he had no idea what was coming for him. The betrayal that Eden felt during this book was visceral. I couldn't imagine being in the position that she was in, but she was definitely calculated. She was manipulative, but I guess in all the right ways because she had a reason to be. But one thing that did make me bust out laughing was at the end of the book when the husband figured out who her baby daddy was. And that's all I'm going to say. If you love a book with a lot of angst, tension, grit and absolute revenge for a woman that was done so dirty, make sure to give this one a read. It's on Kindle Unlimited. Amongst all the psychological and thriller books that I read this month, this was my second favorite one of the month, and it is called The Overnight Guest by Heather G. You follow along the story of the female main character who is a true crime writer who wants to basically isolate herself in a log cabin in order to write her next book. Now, when she gets to this isolated cabin, obviously it's snowed in, and some eerie and creepy things begin to happen. And of course, her being she went to go investigate all the eerie and creepy sounds that she was hearing outside. And when she walked outside, she stumbled upon a bleeding boy that was in the snow, damn near about to die. So she brought him into the house and started asking him questions, and that's when everything started to unravel and unfold. This book was executed beautifully because of the dual timeline point of view from the past and the present with the female main character. You definitely see how the correlation from the past and present play into the storyline, and it'll all make sense why everything happened to her at that snowed in cabin. I listened to this one on audiobook and it creeped me out just like the other book did. This isolated cabin definitely has a history of some creepy shit going on because years prior there was a family that got unalived in this house, and no one knew who the killer was at the time. And the killer is obviously still out on the loose. That's all I'm gonna say, because you need to read this one for yourself and figure out who the killer was and if there's a correlation between the female main character and this house. The last 3 books are part of a 3-book series called The Vega Family Love Stories by Natalie Ganya. The first one is called A Proposal They Cannot Refuse. This is such an adorable book because it is a romantic comedy. You follow along the story of the FMC and then MMC. They are family friends that happen to have an arranged engagement, fake dating trope, in order to save their family's businesses. Now, the female main character, her family has a Puerto Rican restaurant that they run in Chicago. It is called El Coqui, I believe, and it is a family-run business that has been around for many, many years. But her abuelo can no longer take care of it, and they want to sell this business and move on and, eat all the losses. But she does not want to let the family legacy die. Now, the male main character, he has an uncle that he is partnering with at this whiskey distillery, and they too have a family business that does not want to die, and he wants to keep the family legacy alive. So both of their grandfathers, they decide to have a fake arrangement, a deal where the 2 main characters have this fake dating arrangement going on in order to save their family legacy and the family business. I'm just going to preface this now. Within these 3 books, the abuelos were talked about in all 3 of them. They had me cracking up. They are so funny. Oh my goodness. I could not stop laughing because of the banter that the abuelos have. The 2 abuelos, they live in an assisted living facility, and they are the type of people who are on like a prank war with one another. So they're always throwing jabs at each other and getting one another in trouble. And the family is always called to the assisted living facility because the 2 abuelos are always getting in trouble for pranking each other. The thing that I love most about this book in particular is the strong Latin family representation in this book. Not that the other 2 books didn't have it, but this one in particular I felt so strongly about because the Puerto Rican representation in these books was out of this world. Not only did this author talk about the Puerto Rican culture and heritage, but she also talked about some of the history within the Puerto Rican culture and the Puerto Rican people, which definitely hit close to home. I do have a little bone to pick with this because fake dating and fake engagements are not my favorite trope. I did enjoy the book, but obviously the people that are involved in this fake arrangement, they already know that they have feelings for each other. So I don't know why they just don't go ahead and actually date in real time and not this fake relationship, because their love for each other is already undeniable. So I don't know why they just beat around the bush when the inevitable is going to happen and they're going to be together at the end anyway. Moving right along to book number 2 in this series, it's called A Dish Best Served Warm. This is a enemies to lovers rivalry type of romance. The female main character is definitely a strong-willed woman that is a leader in this community that helps out homeless LGBTQ children that are misplaced in her community. Then on the other hand, you have the main male character who works in his uncle's construction company, and within that company they want to gentrify the old building of the LGBTQ homeless place children and build like luxury condos or apartments on that same land. Obviously there's going to be some friction because the woman used to live there as a young girl herself, and she still advocates for these misplaced children. And on the other hand, the main male character, he wants to help his uncle out because he has a chronic illness that he's trying to deal with and pay for the treatment. So they need the money from this construction job in order to help keep his uncle's health aligned. And that is where the conflict lies. Last but not least is Sleeping with a Frenemy, and this is an absolute true to self, enemies to lovers. We follow along the story of two longtime rivals who did have a situationship when they were younger, but now that they're adults, they have to confront their undeniable love for one another, and it is a very steamy, hot and heavy, lustful romance that I loved. Plus, they are forced to cohabitate together. So we all know what that means. And those were the 8 books that I read for the month of May. There was definitely a lot of emotions, a lot of steamy, hot scenes, and a little bit of chills from being frightened, but I'm not mad about it. Let me know what your favorite reads for May were, and I want to know what your June TBR is because I need to add more books to my list. Plus, let me know if you have read any of the books that I listed off today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss any upcoming videos. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!